I'm a long-haul trucker. I drive a rig. Not one of those guys with the tricked-out sleeper and a CB handle they're proud of. I'm just a guy with a CDL and a mountain of debt, hauling cheap furniture from one soulless warehouse to another. My life is a string of lonely highways, greasy spoon coffee, and the constant hypnotic drone of a diesel engine. I've seen every corner of this country through a bug-splattered windshield. Thought I'd seen it all. I was wrong. It happened last night on that infamous empty stretch of I-80 that cuts across the salt flats. Place looks like the surface of the moon, flat, white, and empty for hundreds of miles in every direction. 3 in the morning. The road was a black straight ribbon unspooling into nothing. The only light my high beams and that blinding star-choked sky. I'd been behind the wheel for 10 hours straight, pushing to make a deadline in Salt Lake City. My eyes were burning, my brain was a murky, over-caffeinated sludge. And then I caught a flicker of movement. In the sparse scrub to the right, at the very edge of my headlights, first thought was coyote, maybe a deer that wandered too far from anything green. I kept my eyes on the road, but I knew now there was something out there. Then I saw it again, a tall, lanky figure, moving with a terrifying, unnatural smoothness. It was keeping pace with my rig. I was holding a steady 65 miles an hour. My blood went cold. I took my foot off the gas. The truck slowed to 60. The shadow in the dark slowed with me, its long, thin legs pumping easily, fluidly. My heart was hammering so hard I thought it'd crack my ribs. I hit the gas again, the engine groaning as we hit 70. It sped up too, staying exactly parallel to my cab, a silent, dark greyhound in the night. I couldn't make out details, just a silhouette, like a man, but too tall, too thin, arms too long, stride impossibly wide. It ran smoothly, gliding like its feet barely touched the ground. This went on for 5 miles, an eternity. Just the roar of my engine and that mute, impossible runner in the dark. My mind was scrambling for an explanation, optical illusion, a weird reflection in the side mirror, but it was too consistent, too real. My hand, cold and slick with sweat, reached for the CB mic. Old habit. A relic from before cell phones. Usually the channels are just hiss and static, but out here in the dead of night, you can sometimes catch another lonely soul. I keyed the mic, my voice raspy and cracked. Breaker 19. Anyone out there on I-80, eastbound, about 100 miles west of the lake? Just static hissed back. I was about to give up when the speaker crackled with a voice. Old, worn out, with the gravel of cigarettes and roadside coffee. I hear you, driver. Where you at? I don't know, I stammered. I think I'm seeing something. Something running next to me. A long, heavy pause hung on the other end. Static hissed and crackled. When the old man spoke again, the weariness was gone, replaced by a cold, sharp urgency. Son, you listen to me, he said, low and serious. You listen, and you do exactly what I say. You see that tall, fast runner out there in the dark? Yeah, I whispered. All right, that's a pacer. That's what we call them, pacers. Now you're gonna follow some simple rules, got it? Simple, but you can't break them. Not for anything. What? What rules? Rule number 1, the voice rasped. You do not take your eyes off the road to stare at him. You see him out of your peripheral. You keep it that way. You don't give him your full attention. You understand? Okay, I said, my eyes locked onto the white lines of the asphalt ahead, even though my brain was screaming at me to look right. Rule number 2, you don't acknowledge him. Don't flash your lights. Don't honk. Don't talk to him. For you, he doesn't exist. He's just a shadow, a trick of the light. You give him nothing. Got it, I breathed. And rule number 3, the old man's voice dropped even lower. And this is the big one. No matter what happens, son, you do not stop this truck. Not for nothing. Not for a blown tire. Not for a warning light. Not even if the goddamn engine catches fire. You keep this rig moving until sunrise. You hear me? But what is it? I pleaded. What does it want? Another long, heavy sigh from the other end. Kid, it's an escort. The problem is, you don't want to go where it's leading. Just drive. Keep your eyes on the road and haul ass east. Pray you got enough fuel to see the dawn. The CB went silent. He was gone, and I was alone again, with the mute runner and his 3 terrifying rules. I tried to focus, eyes on the road. Don't acknowledge, don't stop. Sounds simple, but his presence, that constant loping shadow at the edge of my vision, was a screaming distraction. I glanced at my GPS, hoping the familiar, comforting image of the digital map would ground me. But the screen was wrong. My truck's icon was no longer sitting on the clean straight line of I-80. It was on a thin grey road that wasn't on the map, a road leading into a vast, empty, unnamed area of the screen. The GPS still showed my speed, my direction, but it was plotting me on a road that didn't exist. My heart lurched. I looked up, and ahead, in the distance, I saw them. Faint, flickering lights. The lights of a town. Impossible. I knew this stretch like the back of my hand. There's nothing out here. No towns, no rest stops, no civilization for at least 50 miles. But the lights were there. A warm, beckoning glow in the smothering dark, and the pacer, still running beside my truck, slowly, smoothly raised one of its long, thin arms and pointed, a slow, deliberate gesture, at an off-ramp that was now materializing out of the darkness ahead. An off-ramp I knew with absolute certainty shouldn't be there. It led straight to the ghost town. It was a silent, undeniable command. A polite but insistent invitation to somewhere I didn't want to go. Rule number 3, don't stop. But what about turning? The old man hadn't said anything about turning. My hands were slick on the wheel. The urge to turn, to drive toward the lights, to follow the pacer's silent command was almost physical, a magnetic pull. But the old man's scared voice was louder in my head. You don't want to go where it's leading. I held the wheel straight, eyes on the real, the actual, the lonely ribbon of I-80. I ignored the phantom off-ramp, ignored the silently pointing hand in my peripheral vision. The instant I passed the exit, the air in the cab changed. It got cold, heavy, and the pacer. It wasn't running smoothly anymore. The fluid grace was gone, replaced by jerky, angry, frantic movements of its limbs. It was still keeping pace, but it moved with a fury, a frustrated energy. I had disobeyed. Up ahead, lights flashed. First thought, police car, a patrol. A wave of relief washed over me, but getting closer, I saw it was just a car on the shoulder, its hazards blinking steadily and alone. The driver's side door was wide open, and frozen next to the car, silhouetted in the flashing orange light, stood another one. Another pacer. It wasn't moving, just stood there like a statue, its head turned toward my approaching truck. It was waiting. Its partner had failed to lead me off the road, so now, a roadblock. Rule number 1, don't stare. Rule number 3, don't stop. My foot was trembling on the pedal. Every instinct screamed, slow down, swerve. But I heard the old man's voice. Held the wheel steady, focused on the gap between the stopped car and the white line, a passage barely wide enough for my rig. As I drew alongside, I couldn't help it. I looked. For a split second, my eyes met the pacer's face. There was no face, just a smooth, gray, featureless surface where eyes and a mouth should be. And when my high beams washed over it, that empty mask turned, its head tracking my cab, a silent, accusatory escort. I shot past, my mirror missing the open door by a hair. In the mirror, I saw the pacer, still standing, mute, a faceless sentinel in the flashing light. And then it moved, broke into that loping stride again. chasing me down to join its partner in an angry, frantic pursuit. Now there were two of them. The next few hours were the purest, most concentrated form of terror I've ever known. Two running, silent shadows in the dark, one on each side of my truck. The road ahead seemed to warp and twist, the white lines writhing like snakes. The phantom town lights flickered on and off on the horizon, sirens you had to stubbornly, constantly resist. The GPS was useless. The screen, a chaotic mess of non-existent roads and impossible terrain. I was alone, in the dark, in a place that no longer obeyed the rules of the familiar world. My only compass was the memory of an old trucker's voice. My only hope, the pale gray promise of dawn in the east. I drove, kept my eyes on the road, didn't acknowledge them, didn't stop. And when the first timid rays of sun finally blessedly cut through the darkness, they were gone. They didn't run away, didn't fade. They were just gone. The world through the windshield was once again the familiar, empty, beautiful Utah desert. The GPS beeped, the screen snapping back to normal, showing my little truck icon neatly on the solid, comforting line of I-80. I drove until I reached a town, a real one, delivered my load, quit my job. I'm in a cheap motel room now, 1,000 miles from that stretch of road, but I know I'm not safe, because last night I broke rule number 1. I stared. I let it see that I saw it. It's always behind me now, even in this motel, if this even is a motel.
I appreciate you watching until the very end. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and hitting the like button. It really helps out a growing channel like mine. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next one.